Nice. All right. So, all right. So tell me. So are you a counselor?
I am a counselor, yes. So I went to school several years ago, and I did become a certified health counselor through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was great. But that was a few years ago. I was in my early 20s, and I felt too young to open up my practice. I did start taking clients, and I just felt really weird. I thought, when I'm sitting across from, the 60-year-old woman or 50-year-old man, I'm like, you tell me how to live, I felt too young, wanted to gain some wisdom, and I feel like I had done that for the last few years. And then since a recent interview that I had, I've had so many requests to open my counseling practice back up. A lot of people do want to have private sessions with me, so I have decided to open it back up.
I can see why.
There you go.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's why I'm so inspired by talking with you because I'm all about empowering like the divine feminine, like and men too, of course.
Oh yeah, I meant to, of
You
course.
know.
Oh, me too. We need to talk more and more about the divine feminine.
Yes, and so in these synchronizations, for those who don't know what that means, could you explain that?
Sure, sure. Synchronicity is what I usually call it. Um, they are moments where things align. There seems to be a match going on. So it could be, you're thinking about one of your close friends who you haven't heard of in 4 months, and boom, they call you, within 10 minutes or that very day. Or it could be that you were thinking back to your vacation in Hawaii years ago, and you were remembering a very particular looking flower, and then the next customer that comes into your store has a t-shirt with that very flower, on the shirt. Those are synchronicities. There's a match. It's as within, so without.
Mm. Hence the law of attraction.
Law of attraction in action. That's right.
Exactly. And I can tell you that I just honestly, it's not in a cocky way, but I'm a money magnet.
Yeah.
That seems to be my thing that I feel so confident attracting.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
And it was not always the case. I mean, I've been on both ends of the spectrum.
I love that. I love that just then you so confidently said, I've got to say, I'm a money magnet. It's apparent to me that that has been a journey for you to get to that point, and it's amazing that, you can get on and we can meet for the first time, and then immediately you can declare to me something like that,
Yes.
So that's a skill and that's a power that you've got there to be able to declare that.
Yes.
Hmm.
And so for me, I have a real estate business. And so I'm really enjoying mentoring new agents and helping them grow their business, you know, in a non-salesy, new age way.
Yes. Yes.
And
Good
that's what I'm
job.
bringing into this universe. It just feels like my calling right now.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I just had a girlfriend over, and we had a synchronicity in the time that we just spent together, which I'll share with you in a little bit. Um, but she was telling me, okay, well, she was asking me, so you're opening up your counseling practice? Yes, yes. Well, tell me a bit more about that. And I started to describe to her my process and how I came into, being this manifesting master, and how years and years ago it started off as a teenager recording synchronicities. But there was also a piece in there um, where I thought, okay, why aren't people talking about this? It was, how can I describe this? In school, we talk so much about Einstein, right? Einstein, and then we talk about another inventor, Alexander Graham Bell, and all these amazing people in history that have come up with these amazing inventions. But when I was learning about Einstein, in school, I'd go home and I'd look up, the rest of his life because it intrigued me. Well, what else fueled him? And with all of these great minds of the past, they had like some pretty serious and out there modalities that they used in order to come up with their inventions. Some, people from the past used, or great minds from the past used like dream space in order to solve certain equations or come up with their
Wow.
inventions. There was one inventor, and I forget who it was. Maybe it was Alexander Graham Bell, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. But one famous important mind of the past used to use tennis balls uh, when they were napping. He'd lay on the couch on his couch and hold a tennis ball and hold his arm out to the side and kind of drift off, meditate. And when he got to that in between state, right as he was falling asleep, his hand would completely surrender, right, and the tennis ball would drop, and then it would wake him up, and then all of the thoughts that were occurring to him in that moment, he would get up and he would record all of those thoughts. So he'd like kind of try to fall asleep thinking about certain scientific principles or whatever invention he was working on, and then all these amazing thoughts, puzzle pieces connecting and really accessing different parts of the brain would be happening for him in that moment. And then like I said, he'd get up and write everything down. So I discovered, wow, people, great minds of the past, like they weren't super duper, left brain only and only one foot in front of the other and only this particular kind of scientific method. They used this space over here too, this unexplored space. They really, still, I think, empirically explored the potential of the mind with these out there ideas and should I use dream space? I know another inventor he created a woman in his lucid dreaming journeys and gave her a name, and when he would go into lucid state, he'd like call for her to arrive and she would arrive, and then they'd have conversations and he would learn from her what to add to his invention and how to make it successful. So when you said that this is part of your life calling to teach people like this other way to bring clients in or to have a successful practice, instantly that's what I just thought of, was that's how these other people worked too. They weren't just doing it the left brain over here, they were doing it very right brain and very think out of the box kind of a way. So that's awesome. I
I
love that.
love that.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yes, exactly. And just aligning with that and actually allowing people to actually come to me,
Oh yes.
through, I mean, it just fascinates me. I just want to really quick make sure it's recording. Really
Okay,
quick.
sure.
Okay. Okay, it's working. Um, right. So, yes. So your story fascinates me. So at a young age, you were interested in, you were aware
Yes.
of synchronicities, or, some people might call them coincidences. Is that?
Most people do call them coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very not validating growing up, I would, a synchronicity would happen and I'd get all surprised and, look at a family member or a friend who was around and be like, oh, wow, that was so amazing. And to them, it was more, blasé.
Right, exactly. That is so cool.
Yeah,
So go on. So continue with that.
sure. Um, well, I think that a few different things could have been at play. Either I have a natural, these synchronicities just really naturally excite me, and there was just a curiosity there. Or I did have a head injury when I was 12 years old. Some of my family members think that helped my brain be more concerned about this or about that, and have an awareness. So I don't really know which one it was. It could have been a combination of both of those things. But in any case, I took note of synchronicities and I thought that they were pretty amazing. And I loved to talk about them. And probably in the beginning stages, it seemed like, oh, maybe that's intuition, or oh, maybe this is like, yeah, we're all connected, and that's just one of those ways in which we're all connected. We pick up on each other's vibes, and that was probably the early language, in my
Oh,
experience. And certainly there are enough people in life that I was aware of, like a certain psychic, would just say, "Oh yeah, that's just vibration, and energy." Um, and so I wasn't completely, not validated. We've had a lot of people go before us, lots of, witches throughout time go before us and lead the way, but it's just it wasn't a very prevalent thing to be validated. So I stayed quiet about it for a long time and just kept it to myself and kept these synchronicities to myself. I tried talking about it, but I was met with a lot of opposition, and certainly the most common one, which is, well, that's meaningless and that's just coincidence. Well, that coincidences happen all the time. Or, well, how can you know that has anything to do with your thoughts? It's just, in a matter of time, something like that is bound to happen. Well, oh, well, that's just probabilities at play. And, maybe it is probabilities at play, but I don't think that has to negate this experience of intentionally creating your reality.
I love that. Intentionally
Yeah.
creating your reality.
Yes. Yes. So I'll tell you how I got there to start using that kind of language. When you keep a synchronicity journal, the synchronicities just come in. What you focus on grows.
Right.
Um, I think that we can all kind of look to experiences in our life where, we had a focus and then that experience grew. It could even be a negative thing. We had a really wonderful relationship and we focused on the negative, and guess what? Then more negative kept blossoming, right? What you focus on grows. So these synchronicities became so common. And I started to realize that, there's this match going on, as within, so without, or as without, so within, or something's going on here, and there's some kind of reflection going on here. And so I thought, well, what if I, really intentionally start sculpting my thoughts? So it's not just recording matches. What if I intentionally start creating thoughts and feelings and then see if that creates a match as well? So this is the stage where in my life, synchronicity started to morph into very intentional manifestations. They're very similar. It's just like synchronicity is like grade 1 and manifestation is grade 2, but it's this like same principle, same education going on. And it worked. Sure enough, it worked. I noticed that whatever I was thinking about, it showed up, even the positive things. Definitely the negative things too, and plenty of recorded negative events where I saw that my thoughts maybe created that. So I entered into this maybe space, right? Like maybe this is going to happen. And then I kept practicing very intentional manifestations. It could be something as little as, I want to see a woman with a long sleeve shirt that has multicolored roses on it, and she's got her hair up in a ridiculously high ponytail, and she's wearing, red high heels. And I would, put out something playful like that to see if it would show up. In a very short amount of time, it would show up. I was also noticing that things that were really important to me didn't always show up. And I thought, well, why can I manifest this woman with, a long sleeve multicolored rose shirt, so specific, that I can't manifest like this experience that I really want to have, like, going to a different country for free, and why isn't that happening yet? And I started to just like read my body and read what was going on, and I thought, okay, well, that one is like playful and joyous and hilarious, and it has a totally different vibration from kind of like this yearning over here.
Right.
The yearning is like more intense, and in yearning there's kind of a fear there too that I won't get it.
Yeah.
And then I started to like really meditate on it. I thought, okay, also I don't really feel deserving of that, and feeling deserving about this situation with the woman in the long sleeve shirt, that's like neither here nor there. Like you don't have to feel deserving about something like that. What difference does it make? But going on a free trip out of the country, like, well, what about people who live on islands their whole lives and they never get to do something like that? This like guilt complex was constantly coming up in things that I actually wanted. So it was just a lot of energy reading and a lot of tapping in and thinking on these things that gave birth to more understanding, level by level by level. And so, yeah, Go ahead.
No, I just, because I have all these questions as you go and then I forget them. And I'm like, I should be taking notes, but then you're so like awesome to watch. But so, okay. So do you think it's important or I mean, it is important, I think, to be in a meditative place in order to manifest. I mean, because, it could be if we're thinking negatively, we're creating negative kind of vibrations and we're going to attract that back because we're a mirror. And that's what the
Yes.
law of attraction is. So I know sometimes for me, even with this whole webcam thing, that wasn't working. And I was like, I really wanted it to work. I had to stop and close my eyes. And I thought about one of my dogs who makes me feel so much love in my heart. And so I generated the feeling in my heart space of love and then thought of connecting with you on Skype. And here we are.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, that's exactly how it's done. Absolutely. Well done.
Thanks.
That's a remarkable tool to use that. Okay, well, my bliss right now is not found in this computer, but let's think outside of the box here and let's intentionally raise my vibration and, clear the canvas, if you will, and you did it. That was incredibly intelligent. I think a lot of people would think, oh, well, those are totally not related. What do you mean you thought about your dog and then the Skype started working? That doesn't make sense to some people. But when you realize this is a vibrational universe, what you did was probably exactly the step that needed to happen for us to be able to Skype each other. It's incredible.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Yes. So that's important, I think, right? For anyone to
Yes.
grasp this manifesting idea because ultimately we can really have anything that we want, anything
Yeah,
that we desire. But it's that fear of not getting it, I think, that can crush it, that can like almost work in reverse, right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, for the record, I don't want to put the blame on you that we weren't connecting because, it just so happens to be that my Skype version was outdated, and I needed to
No.
update it. But it's interesting that, you know, maybe, and let me know, maybe it was possible because you were so intent on this going perfectly and going well and it's going
Yes.
to work. There was some yearning there, right? That energy,
Totally.
this attachment, like it's going to be perfect, it's going to be great, or maybe I'm a little nervous. And so it's interesting then that communication block came up
Right.
until you thought about your dog, and then somehow we were able to connect. And yes, meanwhile, I was updating my version of Skype. And so someone with a critical eye would be like, oh, well, that was really the problem.
Mm.
But I dare say that there was a connection happening, between like you thinking it could have been you're thinking about your dog in that moment. And then for the first time, I finally have this thought like maybe I need to update my Skype. And so there's still a connection there. And I understand some critical viewers, I do understand some of their points, but I'm also saying that I have studied this so much that these connections, um, they've gained a lot of credit, in my view. Mm-hmm.
They
A
have.
lot of credit.
Especially the story I heard, well, I saw on Tea Time with Teal podcast on how you met your boyfriend
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or how you manifested him.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, we could talk about that too, but there's one quick question that I had when you were talking about lucid kind of dreaming
Sure.
before. And so it's interesting. I had a dream the other night of someone in Teal tribe, which is you're familiar with Teal's,
Yes.
yeah, it's a group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a girl on there that I don't know, but I see her a lot and I like to, look at her postings and she does YouTube videos as well. Well, anyway, I had a dream about her. I dream so like intensely and
Awesome.
it's very enjoyable most of the time. So I had a dream about her in teal. the other night, and just we were playing. We were on land with water, and we were just having so much fun. And the next day, or a day and a half later, yesterday, I got a message from this girl
Wow.
that she found the video that I had done with Teal, and like loved it so much. And I just responded and said, I've never talked to you before, but I had a dream about you.
I love it.
And she said, oh my God. And then I told her about the land and the water, and she said, my husband and I are looking to buy land that has water on it. And I said, my husband and I are looking to do the same exact thing.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. I have
I
goosebumps.
mean,
This never gets old for me. It's always like, oh, I'm ready. Tell me.
me too. And it just, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's, it's amazing. And I never understood like what my dreams meant, or what, and I still don't have a complete understanding of it, but I'll let you talk about that
Sure.
if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah, about dreaming and about lucid dreaming. To me, well, I'll tell you this. I love the phrase "use what you have." I think it's actually, I think that's actually a scripture. I'm not a religious person at all, but it's funny that as you study these law of attraction principles, manifestation principles, and just as you become more in communication and communion with your environment, with the planet, with God, whatever you want to call it. It's interesting how I feel like we're living out very scientific principles here, very like quantum physics and quantum mechanics principles here. But we're also, I feel like I'm living out these what would you call them? Sometimes almost like proverbs that come up that are from scripture. It's very interesting that this meeting of the left brain and right brain, if you will. Like, I live on a very literal level, as within, so without. And I also live on a very literal level, use what you have, and ask and it is given. So with dreams, for me, it's just another example of a tool. Use what you have. If something comes to you in a dream, a certain message, explore that message. You can approach it like, I'm going to draw meaning from this. Like, oh, what is the meaning? I must discover the meaning. But as you're discovering the meaning, you're simultaneously creating the meaning. I mean, it is your tool. And ultimately, you are the universe. This is one big riddle that your higher self is playing with this self. And so you are simultaneously discovering meaning and creating meaning at the same time. So if someone shows up in your dream and then they show up in your reality, like what just happened, she communicates with you, it looks like, to me, that a part of your higher self is trying to wake you up a little bit and say, hey, look this way. Ooh, what's going on over here? Ooh, this is kind of playful. This is kind of fun. This is kind of like a riddle. It's very sweet, I think, what is going on. I feel like your higher self is your best friend.
Mm.
And, your higher self is probably my higher self, right? I do believe in oneness. I do believe that we are all ultimately one. On this plane, it seems very divisive, but I think, higher up, further into expansion, we see, I like to say the universe is itself. Is it not? How can it not be? The universe is itself, and you are the universe, and I am the universe. To me, that means you are me. So our higher self is playing with us right now, and it's waking us up. So, what does that? I want to hear your response. What does that mean for you? Does it feel like your higher self is waking you up and trying to get you to pay attention a little bit, or what's that like for you when that happens? When a synchronicity happens in your life?
Yeah, it does. It feels playful. It feels almost dreamlike. It feels not so dense as in this third dimension.
That's a great way to say it. Totally.
Thank
Feels
you.
like it.
Because, it just, I know for me, it's so easy to get caught up in the day to day bump and grind. You're so busy and it feels heavy. And that I feel like it's the total opposite feeling to have that awareness in the background and to remember it. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. What you mean? All these feelings are happening. I love so much that you said it feels less dense because the day to day things those do feel heavy and dense and set and
Yes,
concrete.
right.
And I have to say that I love science so much. I love the left brain so
Yeah,
much. I really do. But I think we stifle ourselves and we get too dense over here.
exactly.
We need to not abandon the right brain or the heart space. And, that can feel lighter, right? And more expansive and more creative. It's almost like here's this dense reality over here. And if we just move it over to this sphere, it gets to expand and we get to like see all the molecules and it feels like, ooh, we can actually like kind of rearrange some stuff over here. That feels great. We can kind of recreate what then we can then bring back from the space and re-solidify. It's like we got
Hmm.
to bring it out here and redefine it and expand with it and play with this dreamy essence of it. And then it can go back into form. And then we have a kind of a cooler reality over here.
And
Does
why
that
not?
make sense?
It makes sense. And why not go to dreamy land? Like, why not? Like most, I don't want to say most people, but I feel like we're conditioned. We think our thoughts are like negative in nature
Yeah,
on the third dimensional plane, I guess you could say.
sure.
And so, why not use the imagination to create and to think? I don't know. It just, do you
You
know?
do know. You are right on point. I mean, you tell me of an inventor who is not using his imagination or her
Exactly.
imagination.
Innovator. That's a word that
Yes.
comes to me is, and that's I think that it's emptying the bottle, so to speak. Like I love MC Yogi. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I haven't.
He's a great like musician. Great. Uh he's awesome. You'd love it if you
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
MC Yogi on iTunes, and he like kind of raps but sings all about he's a yogi, he's a yoga instructor. But in one of his songs, it's all about, just empty the bottle, like, empty, just, you know, empty myself so I can
Let the
be
new in.
let the new in and be more clear so I can use, you know, I can manifest my own reality,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know how to motivate people other than just being a power of example to do the same. Um,
Well, that is a lot to do. So that's
yep,
enough.
yeah,
Just being a positive example and sharing your experience is enough. I do find that encouraging others to keep a synchronicity journal is also very helpful because it's a very repeatable practice. Anyone can do it and everyone will have success. It's just about retraining your focus. So I've found that anyone who has followed through with my advice to keep a lucid dreaming journal and a synchronicity journal, they have had success. Anyone who I've told to keep a lucid dreaming journal, if they've done it every single night, everyone has experienced their first lucid dream within 2 weeks.
cut
It's
it
incredible.
out. See, I don't
Yeah.
have any of this journal stuff, and I keep hearing this message from you, and then I watched your video again last night with Teal, and you guys were talking about it, and I'm like, I get it. Like, I need to do that. So let's talk about, so tell me like how, like, because people are going to be watching this too. So how would you go about even just keeping a journal, like, or lucid dreaming, does that mean you just wake up in the morning and write your dreams down, or what does that mean?
Yeah, with lucid dreaming, you have to be pretty darn disciplined because when you wake up, you're groggy and you kind of like gently waking up but in that gentle awakening, um, a lot of your memory of what you were just dreaming about goes away, because it's this transition from dream state to awakening. And it's almost like all of those thoughts belong to the dream state part of you, or there's just the separation going on. So you do have to be disciplined. When you wake up, it's almost like an alarm just went off. And even if you didn't wake up to an alarm, you got to get up, you got to grab your notebook immediately and start writing down everything that you can remember. And some people say, well, I never dream. I find that that's not true, actually, with people. Even if like the only thing they can remember from when they were in dream space is the color green, write it down. If all you have in your journal, day one, is green, that's a wonderful start. Then you'll find that the next night, just because you made the effort to make this connection between your conscious and subconscious mind, again, what you focus on grows. So the next night, you'll actually remember this time, oh, it was a green tree. How interesting. I remember green the first night, and then this next dream, green tree. Oh, and there was a swing. There was a swing on the tree. Interesting. Okay, already that's larger than green, right? It really will grow just like that. But you do have to be disciplined. So that one can be challenging for people because they like, very gently waking up. Or they wake up to their alarm and boom, they're in the shower, right? Synchronicity journals can be a bit easier. And like I said, my girlfriend was just over and she was asking some of the same questions you're asking. And I started to talk with her about all these principles, and I eventually got to the topic of gratitude. She said, well, how do you do it? And I said, oh, and I pulled out this little notebook from my purse. It's right here. And I said, well, these days, I've learned that gratitude is such a powerful vibration to work with when you're manifesting. So these days, I kind of like put my synchronicity and manifestation and gratitude journals all into one spot now. And I've blended them into this way that says this. Instead of saying like, oh, I saw this and this, I actually say, I am grateful that I just saw this and this together. So
I see.
that's a very powerful way to continue to bring synchronicities into your life, is with the power of gratitude. So I recommend that. It might save you a lot of time, actually, because gratitude is so powerful. Immediately with your synchronicity journals, I am so grateful that I was thinking of that flower and then it showed up on that woman's shirt. So just add them together. It's very powerful. But as I was telling her that, I was making myself a new cup of tea, and that I still have the tea bag that I put in. It's right here in my cup. And it said, can you read it? It says, an attitude
of gratitude brings opportunities. And
yes.
You know what? Yogi tea is my favorite.
It's the best. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. And so I told her, I said, I'm so happy that this happened, but of course this happens because synchronicities happen to me about every 10 minutes because I have created that reality for myself. And so I'm happy that, as I'm explaining, almost every time when I'm explaining these principles to somebody, a synchronicity happens. And I said, I know there's a part of your brain that wants to write this off as a coincidence, or, oh, well, it's yogi tea, so they always say nice things like that. But I have read hundreds of yogi tea excerpts, and they are not all about gratitude. A handful of them are. But I have a huge, huge box of tea, and I happen to choose this particular one. And I have like 30 kinds of tea in my cupboard.
Too.
And I chose this particular one.
Yes.
And I literally, was saying this to her, and then I stopped and was pouring the water into my cup and opened up the bag. So she hadn't even been talking for like 15 seconds. And then I showed it to her. I said, see, this is a synchronicity. And so what I did is I picked up my phone and I told her, okay, I'm texting this to you right now. And I took a picture of it and I texted it to her and I said, this can be entry number 1. It only has to be a sentence or two in your synchronicity journal that you're going to go pick up and you're going to put in your purse. This is number 1. So, I'm challenging you to the little moments like this to stop writing them off as coincidence and start collecting them as evidence, and that it will show up again and again and again. And eventually you'll have so much evidence that you'll be brave enough to start, changing synchronicity into intentional manifestation. And then you'll get
Yes.
to manifest things in your life that
It's
you really want.
honing. It's honing a skill.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's how you do it. I love when I write down, the playful stuff. Once you get into manifesting and not just synchronicity documenting, I love all that playful, silly stuff. You want to see this, you want to see that. I want to see someone dressed up in a giant frog costume. It is so much fun to write that down in your manifestation journal, and then go take a picture when that guy shows up. Take a picture and then print it and put it in your journal. So much fun. Very
That's
rewarding.
amazing. Because I remember you saying about the banana.
Yeah. That was a good one. A lot of
Yeah.
fun.
So, I mean, and then they can turn into big things. Like, I'm just gonna throw this out there and be totally honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I said, because my husband and I, our goal is to buy like 50 plus acres of land. We grow our own food and blah blah blah.
Woohoo.
So I don't want to have a mortgage, and I don't agree with all of that.
Yeah.
uh, so so I told the universe like 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, that I would like to make. I intend to make 200,000 by the summer, so we could
Right.
buy our land. And I also told the universe that I intend to work with higher end homes, you know, with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I literally, it's happening. Like,
Yeah.
that's, and it's like, it's mind blowing, but at the same time, it's just every time it's mind blowing and
Yes.
it's amazing. And that's where I'm going tonight is, I put a house on the market for 875 and we got multiple offers and I got over asking on it. And then we're having the home inspection tonight and it's just,
What I love about you is that your vibration is one of joy. So, you're just laughing as these things are coming in. You're like the happy laughing Buddha. And that's exactly, what we want to be in order for these things to continue to come in. The universe loves playing with you. And people who hang out with me and know that this is my thing. Some of my closest girlfriends, like, they crack up every time I see a synchronicity, because I, like, in that moment I celebrate. My whole body celebrates. I get goosebumps. I jump. I fall to my knees. I laugh. I completely turn my head over and turn it back up. I'm just it. You just then you lifted your chin up and you expressed your laughter up and out, and that's important. So that's another reason why, okay, this happened for you, is because you're letting it in through the power of laughter and joy.
yes. And it feels so good. And I run around, I dance like an idiot and we laugh at home. And, but the,
Oh, to be a master at this, you have to be willing to be an idiot.
and that's just it. So about a while ago, I just signed up in my own mind to be the weird one, like just to be the odd one around here, I guess, like just to be the innovator and take some women, some agents under my wing and kind of
Mhm.
share my experience and not hoard it like the old sort of way of doing business. It's and I guess the bottom line, the deep belief is fear. So I guess what I do is, and what I tell people is to kind of just walk yourself through the worst case scenario to get to release that fear in order to have no attachment to the outcome.
Mhm.
And I think that's where people get caught up when they're so desperate to have that thing.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, the one thing I do struggle with for manifesting is losing weight.
Mhm.
And that's a tough one for me. Like I don't know yet. Like I can do I'm a money magnet, but
Yeah.
I would like to, you know, shrink down a bit, but I'm sure that has to do with other, you know, like, I learned from Teal, you can't go into anything. You have to go into it with self-love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think some of the biggest blockages that we have hold some of our deepest treasures. And so I would, you know, suggest that we all love our extreme blockages or the things that we can't seem to manifest. I've had skin problems in the past. It's like, oh my gosh, I can manifest, my perfect boyfriend, but I can't manifest like the right skin treatment or the right, what is that? But I dare say that there's something deep in that there's a riddle going on. There's a treasure that someday I will get to have. And so there's some trust there. I would say trust the situation. Trust that so far, you're still struggling with being your perfect size or whatever, and enjoy the journey, because it's all an illusion at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And you set this up. The universe set this up. And there's probably something pretty beautiful and pretty profound in there that has everything to do with self-love. And it's a journey and it's exciting. So I would say, bless that, be thankful for it, and be super excited for the unveiling of that treasure someday.
Yes. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing about your own stuff, because we all have stuff,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, totally.
Even the best of us.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And you just have to laugh at yourself. Oh my gosh.
Totally. Totally. So I guess let's maybe you could describe how to manifest, for those who struggle with it.
Mhm.
Um, maybe we could do like how do you do it? How do you?
Sure. Well, as we've been discussing, I think the first step is keeping a synchronicity journal.
Hmm.
Some people may find that it's actually not a good idea right away to start sharing what you're doing with other people.
Oh,
Um, it wasn't a good idea with me at first, because um, I really let other people's doubt influence me and inspire doubt within me. Um, and I think it's actually a very neat thing that we do. We're always trying to relate to each other. We're always trying to validate each other. Um, and so, if one of my close family members, was listening to my story, and they start giving all their reasons why isn't going to work and why I'm looking at it the wrong way or something like that, it's almost like in that moment I have compassion for them, and I want to, and then I feel bad about myself, and I want to validate them by validating their version of reality. And so I drop my magic. I let it go. I surrender it in order to align with this person and validate this person, and because I don't feel confident enough in myself. So that happened a lot, and I do explain in the Tea Time with Teal how that happened with my mom, over and over again. And thank goodness she noticed that was happening, and she told me to take some distance from her for a while, and she wished me luck. And it was one of the best things we've ever done with our relationship, is to take that distance and time. So I've also learned like who to share this with and who to not bother sharing it with for a while, or mention it here and there at certain, family parties, but maybe it's not something that we have a full-blown discussion about, because I recognize, wow, there is a lot of opposition right here, and maybe I don't have enough energy, to do this, or maybe, yeah, I think I'm a little, I'm protective of this energy. So
mm,
I haven't mastered being able to hold it all of the time, around whoever. It doesn't matter, but I'm getting better and better and better.
sure.
Yeah. So I would say, protect yourself a little bit at first until you become very confident with it, and until you tap into so much self-love and so much compassion for other people that it starts to feel safe to play around with inviting other people into this experience. Um, So, the journey for self-love can be a long one, and we're all still on it, but things like positive affirmations can really help. I've used a lot of Louise Hay's work in my life for self-love and positive affirmations, so that can be pretty healing. And I'd say be consistent about it. When I've listened to certain spiritual teachers' recordings, I listen to it every day for 30 days. That's what it takes to retrain the brain.
Cool.
So, yeah, so you got to be dedicated. It can't be like this airy thing that you just kind of think about and just, yeah, you got to put your focus on it and give it a real honest effort. And then start speaking to people what you're doing. You'll notice that some people who you thought were going to be totally into it are not. Other people who you didn't think would be totally into it think that that's amazing what you're doing, and you're blowing their mind and they want to know more. And then, take note of where it feels safe to share this with. And then with those people, see who's into co-creating, because co-creating is so much fun.
Yes, tell me about this.
So much fun. Okay. So, there's the example that I gave on the Tea Time with Teal interview, where I said, one of my coworkers was reading a book about a witch's coven, and she thought that one of the characters seemed like me, and she could intentionally create her reality. And she said, "I think you know how to do that. Can you teach me how to do that?" And I said, "Yeah, I can." And so I said, let's focus on little things, and we'll just understand that they're going to happen. These little seemingly meaningless situations, they're going to happen. But the point is that we're going to prove to ourselves that our mind, to some extent, if not the entire extent, is creating our reality. So I came up with a situation where I said, okay, let's just imagine something silly here. Let's imagine that someone comes in, maybe a coworker with a bag, and they reach down into their bag and they pull out a banana and they're swinging it around. So they say, "Hey, anyone want a banana?" Right? So this is an act of co-creating. I'm offering this idea with her. It hasn't happened yet, right? So I'm putting myself in a vulnerable situation by offering this, crazy idea or silly vision. And anyway, we kept talking for about 10 minutes, and then that exact thing happened. A coworker came in. It was a supervisor. He brought in his big black canvas bag, threw it on the ground, leaned over, pulled out a banana, waved it around, and said, "Hey, anyone want a banana?" And like I said in my last interview, my girlfriend didn't notice this right away. She just kept talking. And actually another person had come into the room too, who she was also talking with. And I was like, hello, did you see this? Did you see that this happened? So with co-creating, you do have to help the other person become more aware to these things. Yeah, that's happened again and again and again, where you got to help them a little bit, but they're helping you too. I mean, this is such a treasure and such a joy to have someone who's open and wants to co-create with you. But I did have to come from a very confident space that this could happen. So, but you can imagine just how much more rewarding it is when you co-create with someone like that, when someone's open to it and you're witnessing together this instance happen. It's much more profound than experiencing it just by yourself. And I for many years was just experiencing it by myself. And I tried to bring other people in, and they'd write it off as coincidence, or they'd say, "Wow, that's really neat," and get back on with their very busy lives. They didn't want to be a part of it. And so, something was missing in my heart. I wanted togetherness. I wanted to celebrate this with someone. And when you co-create like that with other people, those little instances are really big instances. The reward is so profound. There's, because togetherness is so profound. And when you're experiencing something new like that, and something on the fringe like that, but something measurable like that, something profound is happening. And it's really nice to be with someone in that process. Yeah. But you had to go through the journey of first kind of protecting this craft from, anyone, until you gained enough self-love and confidence. And then you could share it with the right people to start. And then you'll notice, then you can share it with someone who is a little bit resistant. And then you can even share it with your brother. It'll grow. It's a practice.
And it has. It's grown in my life. I mean, oh my gosh. Like, I have there's six of us, and I'm the youngest
Uh-huh.
in my family of origin. And one of my brothers, we're the closest in age, and he was always just not open to this. I've always been, the odd one.
Mm-hmm.
And but recently, very recently, we were randomly out to lunch one day. I just happened to have the day off, went to his house, saw the kids, we went out to lunch, and we were just discussing, you know, his business and so forth, because we're very similar, entrepreneur-y. And there was like, I witnessed him open, like, yeah. And so, and we went through this whole, like, I kept asking him, like, and then what? So, and then what? And then what? And that, like, chasing it down, like, okay, so if I don't make this much money this month, then what? Then I can't pay the bills. And then what? And then I'll lose the house. And that, and you just keep chasing it down to then there's nothing to fear,
Yeah.
And so ever since that day, his whole world opened up. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, and
that's amazing. And I see that you inspired that situation. So I'm happy that if you've been uncomfortable with that kind of communication in the past, I'm happy that you were brave in that moment to go explore that with him. It's neat that he was open.
yes, and like it's amazing to just see him so light and like just the feeling we were talking about, it light and fuzzy, not dense, like,
Mhm.
and just he's kind of just floating through, and like amazing things are happening for him, and it makes me so happy, like the feeling that I get seeing other people come into their own is pretty amazing.
What a neat moment in your relationship. That's so great when someone who you thought was really weird. I know that I have thought someone was really weird, and then they ended up being my greatest example. And then I realized, wow, all along they haven't ever cared what somebody thought about them. They were willing to be weird. They were willing to speak their feelings, no matter how cheesy it was and how weird I thought that was as a kid. Like, wow, cheesy is where it's at. That's
I
awesome. Right.
totally, I'm
Yeah.
totally with you on that.
What a beautiful moment for you.
Life is just beautiful. It is. It really is.
It really is.
I'm so grateful for you doing this with me today.
Oh, thank you. I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Do you have a website or anything, or
I don't currently have a website. That may manifest in months to come, but it's not calling to me right away.
yeah.
I do have my counseling practice. It's intentional reality counseling, and I am offering private sessions. So anyone interested in that can reach me via email. It's intentional.reality@gmail.com.
And so do you do in like face to face, or do you do through Skype? Do you do
I do face to face and through Skype.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. I'm gonna be calling you after this. No.
Oh my gosh, good. It's the best. It's really, my life passion, and I was doing it so much anyway, and never wanted to be at a real job. And so I feel very blessed that, finally this has blossomed into what I get to do for my career. So I get to do my life purpose for my career, and I'd like to believe that lots of other people can do that too.
Oh, they can.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so I guess it's a wrap. I gotta go do my home inspection anyway.
Hey, well, good job on your manifestation. Well done.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say, you are, let me see if I have this right. You are sharing this with other women in your business. Is that right?
Um, it's up to you. I was gonna put it on my YouTube channel,
That's awesome.
if that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's totally okay. But I was just thinking, I think you told me that though, right? That you're trying to show
Yes.
how to do this.
Yes.
And I think that that's so courageous because, as we were talking about before, you can have this very fear-based message come up that says, "Oh no, keep all this to ourselves and don't share with other people, and
Yes.
especially don't share with other women my age," and that sort of thing. But what you're doing reminds me a lot of something that Louise Hay teaches, which is her belief that in the workplace we are meant to bless and prosper each other. And I just want to thank you for being like that and for choosing to bless and prosper others along your way.
Oh, goosebumps right now. Big time. Thank you. I would have it no other way, you know?
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
Contributing to the global vibration change. So well
Yeah.
done.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. So, yeah, so this will go on YouTube and I'll send it to you the link as well.
Okay, perfect.
So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day and we'll be in touch.
You got it. Okay.
Ciao.
Bye.